Good morning. We will come back off recess from our Thursday meeting. And so we normally don't have the call to order, don't have the invocation and all that. Bring that up, council. If there's no objections, I did notice that several people had signed up because there was a sheet out there for public comment. So if there's no objections, we'll still do public comment, even though this is just coming back from recess from last week's meeting. Hearing no objections, we'll proceed with that. And we have Sandra Peterson up first.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning. Good morning.
I sit in
You can sit any one of them. You have 3 minutes. I'm gonna start the timer now.
My story kind of long. Mine go back 10 years from here. Lynn Hennis put me here. And so with that, I opposed to Scott's, anything Scott got to do, I opposed to it because Scott and I sit together when he was at United Way 2 years before he got to be a mayor. That's a long story, but he know it. And he kicked Miss Anita, city council secretary, and me out of the picture 2 years before. He is a very dishonest man. And I sat with his mother at Dr. Nancy's clinic, and she said Scott treats her very bad. So my point is, again, that land out in front of the Madison County Sheriff's Department for 23 years, Scott and the mayor and the county mayor, and I put him in it in this budget. I'm asking for all of that $1 million for me and my daughter India Cups and that property, because they have refused to let her grow. I have went to Stan. Stan told Miss Lynn I was the city whore. Councilman Meriwether fired me at Toyota because Mergitz took me in the elevator and said because I was a felon. And Karen that sits with the county and Lynn that's training Kelsey, that I wasn't fit because I was a felon. Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden put me on the map. And Johnny, I gotta apologize because Johnny didn't know. I want that $1 million for the Madison County school kids and my daughter. Thank you.
All right.
I didn't even understand that.
All right, next up, we have, forgive me if I mispronounce the last name, Deb Unruh? Unruh? I was close.
Would you mind if I take a moment to hand out
Sure.
presentation copies to everybody before we begin?
Okay.
It's Larry's fault.
Thank you.
Good morning. The residents of Countryland Estates have been verbally promised street repairs since 2021 in several meetings where the City of Jackson leadership has talked where street repairs were discussed. And the last promise for repairs were planned for September of this year, 2024. The proposed city budget includes exactly $0 for street repairs in fiscal year 25. A section of Singing Tree Drive and near Chettleton has decayed to the point it's already contributed to a very destructive accident and destroying a fence and vehicle damage. The proposed fiscal year 25 budget appears to indicate that street repairs for the entire city of Jackson is not a priority with the leaders. The budget does show that from fiscal year 23 to 25 that there was a tax revenue increase of 33% for the city of Jackson. So if the budget's passed without addressing the lack of capital funds for street repairs, all of those who travel in Jackson, Tennessee are going to suffer, and the taxpayers as well. The taxpayers and the residents of Countryland Estates respectfully request that Jackson City Council reevaluate the priorities that they have proposed in the 25 budget in order to repair the streets. you'll see that the Singing Tree Drive Road is so compromised because when the planning department opened up the road connecting a 400-home subdivision to a once very private, substandard 16-foot wide road, resulting in very rapid deterioration, and there's been no repaving to date. You'll see on the image of the significant decay that has continued to be a problem. The 5-ton weight limit is routinely violated with all the construction equipment going over to the other development. And even though we call law enforcement, nothing has been enforced. And this area, which is one safe for families and their bikes and walking dogs, is no longer a safe road and is very hazardous because of all the people speeding down the road. You'll see the next page just shows where there is no dollars for street repaving and the increase of tax revenue. Therefore, in summary, despite the decayed state of Jackson City roads and the $9.4 million increase in tax revenue since the '23 budget, and now there's $0 for road repairs. The Jackson taxpayers deserve better roads for this 33% increase in tax revenue. The Jackson taxpayers respectfully request that our roads be repaired, and specifically the Country Land Estates roads to be repaved in the 2025 budget cycle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Emery.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Anthony Kirk.
Morning, y'all. City Council, Mayor.
Good morning.
All right. So I'm just going to read from what I wrote. So, understand the complexities of a city budget, the tension with the council and offices, and also varying opinions of the public. I want to focus on our community's role in West Tennessee and the overdue need for a structured, long-term solution for our homeless neighbors. Some of this will sound similar to my email that y'all received from me on June 3rd, but I think it is worth restating. First, as a downtown small business owner, I own Turntable Coffee Counter just a few blocks down. I want to clearly state that I'm in favor of the ongoing plans for a homeless shelter to be built in the core of our city and in close proximity with established services like RIFA, JTE's Transportation Hub, and other community centers like the library. Second, as an active participant with our city's homeless task force and the Downtown Business Roundtable, I'm in favor of the collaborative efforts of local government, business, direct homeless services, healthcare agencies, etc. Within recent weeks, I've witnessed cohesive cooperation of these entities, especially at the informal meeting held at the brewery just a few weeks ago, and then again June 13th with the Summer Homeless Outreach featuring Pathways Satellite Clinic. I'm hopeful this momentum and urgency continues because the homeless shelter will not be as successful as it can be without the concentrated and effective efforts from these groups. I'm confident that we all agree that Jackson is remaining the hub of West Tennessee in respects to tourism, retail, entertainment, etc. We are also a hub for nonprofit services that specialize in healthcare and homelessness. With our city's continued growth, we will continue attracting more tourists, young professionals, artists, and an unhoused population. It is our common goal to provide the infrastructure and amenities to adequately serve our diverse community, especially downtown. Alongside our investments in spending for public art, sidewalks, stormwater, and parks, our tax dollars and grant money must serve the range of Jacksonians. As citizens, elected officials, and government staff, this is our moment to decide how we continue loving our neighborhood, remembering that not every neighbor has a home. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last is Mr. Adam Johnson.
Good morning.
Thank you all for the opportunity to address a matter close to my heart as a minister and a community member. The proposal to establish a men's homelessness shelter downtown has sparked important discussions among us. As a minister and advocate of compassion and justice, I see homelessness not just as a statistic, but a human tragedy affecting our neighbors and fellow citizens. Each individual facing homelessness deserves our empathy and support, regardless of their life circumstances. It should be our duty to offer sanctuary and care to those in need. The shelter in downtown Jackson is more than just a roof. It's about restoring dignity and hope to those experiencing a hardship. It offers residents a chance to rebuild their lives and reintegrate into society, this time with equity, supported by counseling, job training, and health care. While some may have concerns about locating the shelter downtown, let's consider the alternative. Individuals left vulnerable on the streets. Is this the community that we aspire to be? Can we turn our backs on those who need our help the most? A well-managed shelter will demonstrate our community's compassion and commitment to justice, where every person is valued and supported. It presents an opportunity for us to come together and extend a helping hand to those in need. Last, I urge each of you just to consider the remarkable opportunities this men's homelessness shelter can bring to our downtown community. Let us stand together in compassion and justice, making a profound difference in the lives of our fellow citizens. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll end with a public comment there, and back to business at hand, which is the proposed FY '25 budget.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, I'd like to propose that we move the budget back to the Budget Committee, and as chairman of the Budget Committee.
Second. Second. A motion, it's a motion.
Motion.
All right, got a motion to move the budget back to the Budget Committee. I don't see Jerry Spoor here. I got a motion second, yeah, we're gonna open up for discussion.
Did you give him a second?
Yeah, I think, you and Jake, you both second. All right, so open for discussion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I ask why we want to move the budget back to the committee? Let's say just in general, what's the reason there?
To present a budget that is a little more in line with our financials.
So are we, do we feel the budget committee can, in essence, trim the fat and reduce the amount we're spending overall? Yeah, because there's a lot going on, obviously. And I'm just kind of curious what the plan is. I missed out Thursday, so.
Get back to where we can present something that's more reasonable, that we feel like our not elected officials, but the people that put us in office are a little more pleased with a budget.
What information do you have now that you didn't have before when you met and recommended the budget?
That the budget has some things that are not in it, and the budget may have some things in it that may not be in there in the future because of funding.
Okay, but at the time that you all recommended it, did you all not know that?
No.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, and that's what I'm curious about. I mean, the answers are very broad and general. I mean, what exactly is it that we plan to attack to reduce expense, increase revenue? Like I said, I'm curious, outside of general statements.
Following our meeting on Thursday, we had department heads come back in and discuss all of that again.
Right.
All right, Councilmember Holt is recognized, then Councilmember Lawrence.
What is our timeline for this, and are we gonna hit our deadline of when we have to have a budget passed? If we do this?
Can I address that?
Yeah.
No.
I talked to the controller's office Friday. There's absolutely no penalty, no hardship, no black mark, nothing if we don't get it in by the 31st. There is a hard deadline of August the 31st. If we go past August the 31st, there could be consequences, but there are none before. As a matter of fact, he said the legislature understood that every municipality could not make the budget every year on time. Therefore, they put this automatic extension in the legislate, in the bill.
I wanna ask Bobby Arnold about that, because when we've been sitting in budget, when we've been sitting up here, it's been a different story, and I wanna make sure, because I don't think that, as someone who's sitting on the budget, and with Mr. Frank being the chairman, I want to know that this does not come back on all of us as the reason that there's a problem later on down the road.
Good morning.
All right.
Yeah, specific to that question, we've always represented that there's a process where there can be a continuation or an extension of the budget. I mean, that's always been, you know, on the table. I have not spoken to the comptroller's office. Apparently Councilman Lawrence has, which is good. So I have no reason to question, you know, what he's saying. I think there are consequences of, possibly good and bad, of extending the budget. You know, I guess we, you know, apparently, there is a hard deadline of, I believe, August 31st, is that what you said? Okay. So kind of specific to the discussions that's taken place, are some questions that have been asked this morning already. You know, I guess there would be a lot of work to be done, decisions to be made. There are employees would be impacted, you know, and delay in any compensation increases as an example. So there you go. You know, we were presented a budget with, you know, options for funding, a couple of different options. I think that the mayor has represented that he and department heads believe that the expense budget that's been submitted is what is needed to provide the services that are expected and to invest in our employees. We presented an option of a spend down, if you will, of the fund balance that versus a tax increase. We also looked at, you know, what type of tax increase would be required to fund a $3 million deficit. The decision was made to go with the option of the spend down of the fund balance. I presented some data previously. I've tried to simplify it. That may be what the mayor's handing out now. I know it's a little difficult with the format of the ordinance to kind of get into and understand the details. So I just kind of pulled off the general fund and put it into this particular spreadsheet. Would you like for me to?
Yeah, I do have one other question
Sure.
before we get into that. How could this impact the people who work here, the employees of the city, if we're not done? And will we be forced to adopt last year's budget since we're not gonna hit the deadline?
Was specific to your first question, there's compensation increases for employees effective the first pay period in the new year, so that would be delayed. And your second question was, will we be forced to adopt the old budget?
We have to adopt a budget, yeah.
My understanding is that when Mr. Councilman Lawrence speaks about a continuation, and maybe you can enlighten me if you talked to the comptroller's office on Friday, but I think it is what he described. You would continue to operate under the existing budget. Now, exactly the terminology and the process to do that, you know, I'm not 100% clear on that, but apparently Councilman Lawrence has talked to them. So we would not adopt another budget. We would just kind of continue under this current year's budget, if I understand it correctly.
Mr. Chairman, we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'd like to call previous question.
I want to make sure I know what's going to happen before I do anything. I just wanna be completely clear.
Call for questions, so we go on the call for questions.
I'd ask my.
No, we're gonna vote on the call for questions, and then we can, if it doesn't pass, we can go back for discussion. So vote for the call for questions right now. Council, please vote.
Calling for question?
That means to move forward.
6 and 3 no and 1 abstain.
Passes 6-3, is that what it was?
I'm sorry, 5 and 3 and 1.
Who's
It
the
passed
one?
5-3 and 1? Okay, all right.
Who's the one? How come?
All right, so we got a motion and a second on the table for sending the budget back to the Budget Committee. Council, please vote.
6 and 1 no and 3 abstain.
No, I'm not abstaining. I just don't like how we did that. There was a lot of
don't
other
either.
discussion that needed to be
I
taking
agree
place
with the Councilmember Donnell.
on this. And I would hope that my esteemed council would withdraw his motion if he can
Votes already been.
for the previous question.
Ship sailed.
Mr. Mayor, can we not have some discussion now that this has been sent back on, just in general?
What's the point?
No,
To answer some of the questions here that
no,
have been
you
asked.
called questions.
Oh, no, it's passed, and it's gonna be sent back.
So what is
Never
the
mind.
discussion
So we, I mean, if you wanna ask which we can adjourn the meeting, because there's no more items on the business, so we can adjourn the meeting, and we can go into what we did Thursday.
Something, because people have questions.
All right, so we will officially adjourn this meeting.
But before we adjourn, there's information that need to come out, the public need to hear it as well. And I just object, I just really don't like how we just did that with the previous question being called so soon. The purpose of us being here is to discuss matters, not to just close discussion so quickly. And I just don't
So-
like how that was done.
I understand your frustration, Councilman. We'll officially adjourn the official meeting, then we can move and we can have questions and answers like we did last week. So we'll adjourn there. Meeting is adjourned, and now we can go and ask questions.